Made on Zencaster.
The following podcast is a Jill Devine Media production.
These are peptides, which peptides are a chain of naturally occurring amino acids. That's what a peptide is.
That's what because I was like, wait a minute, how do peptides go? Because I don't know, because I'm like collagen peptides. What the heck how does that have to deal with insulin? So
collagen peptides don't, but other amino acid chains do. So that's
okay.
The cool part of peptides is you can put different amino acid chains together to do different things for your body.
This episode of Two Kids and a Career is brought to you by Elemental Aesthetics. You can be guaranteed that your experience is going to be unique and customized to your specific needs. See how they can help you focus on natural beauty enhancements by visiting elementalaesthetics.com. Hi there and welcome to Two Kids and a Career. I'm Jill Devine. As an entrepreneur, wife, and mama, the daily grind of trying to build a business while taking care of kids and trying to maintain a healthy connection with my hubby, it's a lot. With this podcast, you're going to hear candid conversations with other moms, parenting experts who can share their knowledge and insight, or you'll just hear me rambling to get it all out. There's going to be tears, there's going to be laughter, but most importantly, there will be support. Take a listen and connect with me so we can grow and learn from one another. This is Two Kids and a Career.
I have a return guest coming to the podcast this week, Jennifer Warmann-Bloss, who I talk a lot about because not only is she amazing, but she's also a sponsor of the podcast. She is the CEO of Elemental Aesthetics, and Elemental Aesthetics has been a wonderful supporter of Two Kids in a Career. Jennifer, welcome back to the podcast.
I am ecstatic to be back.
Oh, thank you. Well, if you missed her episode 79, How an Esthetician Approaches Her Clientele's Desire for Youth, can be found at jilldevine.com. And I have always talked about what I experience with you when I discuss Elemental Aesthetics. And we have continued to grow our relationship, and you continue to be a therapist to me and other ladies as they come across your way. And it's just really cool. Before we get into some of the things I want to talk about, it's really cool to see the different women come through your doors. And I've talked about this recently, how I was there, and when I was there, I saw someone coming in for Dr. Walsh, who we have had on the podcast a couple times. And then I've seen people come in to see Laura, who we've had on the podcast. And it's just so interesting to see the dynamics of these ladies. Like, we're talking older ladies, we're talking younger ladies, we're talking middle age. Everyone has a very unique situation. And that's what's really cool about your office, is that you can handle all of those. And I just didn't know if you wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit, because sometimes people get really scared and put off when they see something like Elemental Aesthetics and they're like, oh, wait, well, I don't need Botox or whatever. And it's like, no. Look at the whole picture. So talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, I think our whole goal is to be we're real people, like
Yep.
The staff are real people with our vulnerabilities and all the things that go along with that, our own personal insecurities, just like everybody else. And we do tend to attract real people also. That means, all different personalities, income levels, socioeconomic, status, and, we're across the board. We're really there just to honestly provide a place where someone can come and get a natural solution to aging. Mm-hmm. And so that's why when you mentioned Dr. Walsh and Laura, they're dealing with the inside of aging, and then the rest of the team is dealing with the outside of aging. And so it's like a whole thing,
Yeah, it's all there in one place. And I am so glad that you mentioned just everyone. Like, I was just in with you yesterday, and I was joking around about, hey, I really would like to talk about this, but I'm really cost effective, which is the joke that I'm cheap. And so it is available. And then you were able to talk to me about those things, which we're going to get to a little bit later, because you have tips and tricks and secrets and all these great things. But I just think it's so important for individuals to know that you can walk into your doors and you don't have to be from a certain area. You don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to be a certain age. You don't have to have a certain salary. Every single person is welcome. And I can truly say that's 100% true, especially because I have witnessed it. I am there. I'm not just saying I go there. I actually go there and I witness it.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's been my goal from the beginning, to be a real place with real people. And it's nice to hear that people recognize that.
Okay, so when we were talking recently, I wanted to have you back on to tackle a couple of different things. And the first is just some of this stuff that we are seeing in social media, on the news, everywhere, anywhere you can see anything, on some words that are becoming popular, but we might not necessarily know what it means, like peptides, for example. And there's all these different medical terms for different things to help with weight loss or this or that. And so that is the first part of our conversation that I want to tackle. I don't know really anything when it comes to like the peptides and stuff like that. I know that the only thing I know is I have collagen peptides, and I take that every morning in my coffee, and I don't even know if I'm saying that correctly. So I was hoping that you could school us all on the good, the bad, the ugly, the things that are coming up that are popular that maybe people haven't considered. So, man, there's a lot to cover. Where would you like to begin?
Well, let's maybe start with just explaining. Well, let me start before all of that by saying I am not a physician.
Okay. Yes, we should say that. Okay.
So I'm not a physician, but I am a wellness geek to the highest element. There are definitely times when I go in and meet with a traditional doctor on different subjects that I sometimes often know more than they do, just because I'm like a dog with a bone. When I get on a subject of wellness and the future of wellness, I just dig and read and till my mind's exploding. And then we internally, we try things and see, are they real? Is it true? Is it not true? And I think a part of explaining my understanding of peptides begins with the fact that I have been insulin resistant probably since I was a teenager. And for those that don't know what that means, it means that my pancreas produces way more insulin than my body needs. And yet it's not processing sugar correctly. So every time I eat a carb of any kind, my body stores it instead of uses it for fuel. And left unchecked, insulin resistance turns into diabetes most of the time.
Mm.
And, my poor daughter, who's just 19, has the same ailment. It's definitely a genetic thing for us and the family. And so we know a lot about it. And I was diagnosed about 15 years ago, and it changed my life. And so why I lay all that out ahead of time is to say that the solution, the thing that fixed things for me, was a medication called Ozempic.
Oh, interesting, because yes, that's pretty popular right now.
Yeah. So I was using Ozempic before Ozempic was cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think it's given me a lot of perspective as a user and studier of medication. I am a person that prefers natural medication to traditional medication when possible. In this scenario, it's probably not possible for me just because I'm fighting my own genes. And I bring it up because these are peptides, which peptides are a chain of naturally occurring amino acids. That's what a peptide is.
That's what because I was like, wait a minute, how do peptides go, because I don't know, because I'm like, collagen peptides, what the heck how does that have to deal with insulin? So yes, okay.
So collagen peptides don't, but other amino acid chains do. So that's
okay.
the cool part of peptides is you can put different amino acid chains together to do different things for your body.
Okay.
So one of the things I'll say about Ozempic and now Mounjaro, which is on the scene, and their generic versions, which are called semaglutide and tirzepatide, is that they definitely help control insulin. And honestly, without knowing it, a lot of the population is insulin resistant. And it's even a test that most people don't even know, like some doctors don't ever check for it. So if you ever want to check that for yourself, it is just an insulin test. So when you're getting your regular lab work, ask them for an insulin test. Normal is considered under 19. However, you will feel better if you can get it under 10. And so when people struggle with weight, or they're like, oh my gosh, it doesn't matter. I eat perfectly. I work out like a fiend. I'm doing all the things and I can't lose weight. A lot of times it is either insulin or hormones, or sometimes both. So those little demons play and are obstructing your ability to lose. And so that's how these peptides came onto the scene. And they are a great solution for managing insulin and helping people to lose weight. But they're not without flaws.
Okay. That's kind of what I want to talk about now, because it's so difficult. I mean, there's all these cookie cutter things that are put into our media consumption on a daily basis. And I think you and really anyone can definitely agree that these cookie cutter items, there is not a magic pill. Maybe it's magic for a little bit, but in the long run, it cannot be sustained. And so that's where I get a little bit like, well, is it helpful? Is it not helpful? I don't know. I mean, like, I don't want to definitely discriminate against someone who is taking it for weight loss, or it's just tricky. It's really tricky.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen literally miraculous things for people on the weight loss side of this, things that have changed their life. And I've even seen things like a reduction in inflammation of even their skin by losing weight. So there is something, there is a lot of health benefits to the way they work. What they do is they help your pancreas produce insulin at a proper level, and then they also curb your appetite. And I think doing them in conjunction with some lifestyle changes, and they don't even have to be dramatic. Like I have kept my weight almost where I am for nearly 10, 12 years since I got on them. But it's not without work for me. It's not like I can just do this injection and do nothing else and I'm going to be skinny. So it is something you want to be committed to doing more than just, and it's a shot that you do at home. It's being more committed than to just doing a shot once a week. And then the other problem is with them is they are very difficult to get off and maintain the weight loss. Now, if you are really good with your lifestyle changes and you can maintain them after you complete a series with them, then you will have, relatively good luck with that. But that's where working with someone like Laura or Dr. Walsh is helpful, because they could help give nutritional guidance and things like that, in addition to helping you use these to lose weight.
Now, you and I were also talking about this yesterday about compounding. Can you explain that a little bit?
So the interesting thing about these medications is they're kind of freshly FDA cleared. However, they so are compounded versions of them. So there are sterile compounding pharmacies across the United States that can custom compound these for you. And so, like, for me, this is an excellent solution. I use Mounjaro. I have been using Mounjaro most recently just because of cost. It had a really good coupon for a while and all of that. But I switched to Tirzepatide, which is the compounded version, because I really got to the point where I only needed a really tiny dose, maybe every couple of weeks, to maintain how I was feeling and to feel good and to continue my weight loss. And this is a great solution for people once they're finished using them. But the other problem with that is there are a lot of chintzy internet places doing this. So you do not want to go on the internet and buy semaglutide or Tirzepatide. Do not do that. There's a lot of garbage out there. Like the pharmacy that we use, for example, has a guarantee of only a 3% variance in the quality of the product. And ironically, Mounjaro, the pharmacy, version has up to 10% variance in the quality of the product. So sometimes if you have the right compounder, you're going to get a better product. But you do not want to, this is not an internet purchase. Go to a doctor, see a doctor, make sure they know what they're doing and they have some experience with this.
Okay, so then some more peptide talk. Like, give me some other examples. I know I mentioned collagen, but how this works in other areas of our life and really working from the inside.
Well, and the other thing that actually kind of leads me to one of the big downsides of both semaglutide and Tirzepatide is they can actually make you skinny fat. So for some reason, they tend to break down muscle a little bit more and make you a little gooier. And so where a lot of people lose weight effectively with them, they maybe don't have the same amount of muscle mass at the end as they did. Well, another peptide, there's a peptide combination. It's actually two peptides. One's called CJC, the other's called ipamorelin, and we marry them together and they help you build muscle. So I use both I use the CJC and ipamorelin to counteract the negative side effects of the Mounjaro or Tirzepatide or whatever, I happen to be using. So, or you could go to the gym and work out and do the things you're supposed to do and get, keep working on that muscle mass while you're losing weight. And that would help you as well. But
okay, so you can't have too many different variants of peptides.
They're all naturally occurring and your body will remove what it doesn't need.
Okay.
So it isn't like you're going to OD on peptides, but they're amazing. There's so many things they can do. Like, here's a crazy one. There's one called melanotan 2, and it makes you tan.
What?
It activates your natural melanin. It also helps lose weight a little bit. Or there's a ton for sex drive. That is probably a big area that they use peptides. A lot of women actually helps with low sex drive, and they're very effective. There's anti-aging ones. There's ones for inflammation. There's ones that help you lose fat. So there's alternatives to like semaglutide and Tirzepatide. I mean, it's kind of amazing. So like in our office, you would meet with Laura Rogers and talk through what your needs were and find the right ones for you. And a lot of them you do short bouts of treatment and then you're off of them. So it's not a forever commitment.
Why is that?
They just recommend cycling off so you don't kind of get immune to it almost, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
So you do it for X amount of time, then you take a break, and then you come back in if you want to kick it back up again, but you cycle in and out of it. You don't just take it forever.
And like, I have talked about this a number of times on the podcast, and I am like you, where I love to team up whatever I can naturally with, some things you can't you can't do it naturally. There's just some things that you have to, based on the individual, work with your physician on. And so I guess, and I don't know if you can speak to this or not, but like, I just think that sometimes when it comes to that natural wellness, and then you throw in something like a peptide, that sometimes people are like, whoa, 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 that's not natural at all. That's not how you take care of yourself. And I think that, and I feel that this has been discussed on this podcast before, but if I'm going back a number of years to, what was it called? The ephedra or whatever that was. And then it came out like how damaging that was. So then people get all weird about supplements and stuff. I'm like, I could go and talk to one doctor who will tell me one thing and another doctor would tell me something different. And it's just very confusing. It's just cloudy. I just feel like all this stuff.
I think that that's the moment in time where you have to listen to your own instinct.
Yeah.
I definitely have tried to go fully natural in combating my insulin resistance, and nothing ends up working for me. But mine is very severe. Like if a normal person is 19, my normal insulin is like 60, and that's very unhealthy. And it makes you feel really terrible, sluggish, overweight, because you're not burning your calories right for fuel, and it causes other problems with your body. And so, there are some people, and I am unfortunately one of them, that are going to have to be on this as part of my life. And where I don't like to accept that, it's what I have to do, because the alternative is to be sick. Yeah. So, you have to choose your battles. But I have done a ton of natural stuff that has helped me to reduce the amount of that medication that I need. So you can play with natural substances, and I love the peptides. I mean, amino acids exist in the universe. Like, it's part of nature. And so it's pretty cool to me that a pharmacist can hone that nature in and make a compound that will help you feel better. So to me, that still plays in the wheelhouse of natural, in my opinion.
Okay. Anything else that you would add about peptides, or something that maybe we might be missing, or like you said, you're not a doctor, but something to look out for? Because then I would like to transition into our next conversation.
Sure. I mean, basically what I would say is, don't do this on the internet. Do not do any of this virtually with a doctor you don't know and you can't communicate with. Just, that is treacherous. You can either get bad product, bad advice. I mean, fly by night pharmacy, like all of these things, in my opinion, you need to use someone that's an expert. Like in our office, both Dr. Walsh and Laura can help with the weight loss peptides, but Laura is exceptional with the other peptides. So even in our office, we kind of have a delineation between what direction the patient would go in order to find the best solution.
All right. Well, we will have all of this information at the show notes at jilldevine.com, but individuals can go to elemентalaesthetics.com as well to get more information. And so what we are going to discuss in next week's episode is anti-aging, but anti-aging on a budget. And of course, other anti-aging stuff. So join us next week. Jennifer will be back to provide some tips and tricks on that.